Thank you, Miss Toastmaster. Back in Fort Lauderdale, during my college years, I picked up a job at Publix in the produce section. It was nice to have Mom and Dad pay for tuition, room, and board. But a guy needed some extra cash, you know, for the ladies. I had a little experience working at my dad's store. He was a supermarket guy, too, so I knew my way around. On one occasion, I was trimming the lettuce, and a customer comes up to me and says, "I'd like a half a head of that lettuce." I turned around and said, "Half a head?" He says, "Yeah." I don't know about that. Let me check with my produce manager. So I go to the back of the store, and I go through the swinging doors, and I see my produce manager back in the storage area, and I said, "Some cheapskate wants to buy a half a head of lettuce." And I turn around, and he's standing right there. And I say, "And this fine gentleman is willing to purchase the other half." So, after the sale, my manager comes up to me and says, "Hey, I gotta commend you, Bruce. That was quick thinking on your feet. You know, you could be management material." So I said, "Nah, it's nothing. That guy, he's a Canadian. You know, Canadians are either hockey players or jerks." So the manager says, "My wife is Canadian." I says, "Oh, and what position does she play?" Anyway, there was this one lady. Oh boy, her name was Natalie. They hired her as cashier. And right away, Natalie caught my attention real quick. She looked like a poster produce girl billboard, you know? She had cheeks like red hothouse tomatoes. She smelled like a fresh cauliflower. She was lovely. She was lovely. I was crazy about her. Right away, I said to my manager, "I'm transferring to be a bagger. I don't want this position anymore." I even aligned my schedule with her so I could always be around her. All summer long, I'd saved up money for a new motorcycle. And this bike was beautiful. A black 305 Honda Scrambler, and it was hot. I mean, I had those spokes on the wheels sparkling, the exhaust pipes were gleaming. This pipe, and I called her Thunder. Me and Thunder could beat anything off the line back then. I mean, it was hot. When I was on that bike, I was no longer Bruce, the bad boy. I was like James Dean. I felt as proud as Peter Fonda riding his chopper in Easy Rider. I love that bike, and almost as much as I love Natalie. There was this young, cocky high school guy who also worked with me and had a motorcycle and also had a crush on Natalie. Well, his motorcycle was really souped up, go real fast, and he was always bragging about how fast it was. I mean, we used to hear stories back in the lunchroom about how he beat bikes much faster than his. And he wasn't afraid to tell everybody how fast it was. Anyway, one evening, I'm working there and Brad's there with me. And he's getting on me, going on how fast his bike is, you know? And I'm trying to humor him. I'll go away, you got nothing there. And he kept on egging and egging. I says, "There is no way that stinking little bike of yours is going to beat me in Thunder." He said, put up or shut up. The challenge was on. Right away, I was thinking, I says, hey, if I can beat Brad, maybe Natalie will think of me as rugged, handsome, tough, romantic. Anyway, it was 7:30, and the race wasn't going to be till 11:30. We had set it for outside of Publix, in the parking lot, after everything's closed up, and I was getting nervous. You know, I don't usually go around challenging people for a drag race. You know, I'm kind of shy. So I was getting a little apprehensive. It was now 7:30, 4 hours before, and my contingency group was coming over to me and saying, hey, you ready, you know, and I'm getting more nervous. So I'm looking at my watch every 5 minutes. Finally, at 11:30, we go out the door, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Brad had told everybody in the place about this drag race we're going to have. Every employee was lined up, ready with their cars, beaming down the racetrack. It was a scene from Rebel Without a Cause, starring Natalie Wood and what's his name? So I was going crazy. Wow, what a scene! So as we got up ready to start our bikes, you know, Natalie's there holding a scarf, ready to start the race going. And I checked over my bike quickly, you know, made sure everything was safety. And as I straddled the bike, you know, and I put on my leather gloves, you know, for maximum control, and I knew Natalie was into leather too, so I figured I would impress her. Anyway, the scarf went down, and we were off, and I had a great lead. 21st 20 yards, I was doing a wheelie, and I was ahead of Brad, but Brad was catching up. So I quickly shift, and I was going faster, and I was still ahead of him. I said, I gotta win this race, I gotta win it at whatever cost. But Brad ended up beating me by a head of lettuce. I was so disappointed. Everybody cheered for Brad, and I walked away the loser. Disappointed. I couldn't hold my head up anymore. I had to leave Publix, and I went to Winn-Dixie to be another bad boy there. And one day, she was there as a cashier, and she came up to me and says, Brad was a jerk. I only want to ride with you and Thunder. Madam Contest Master.